added, and in collaboration with Whiskeyjack Toys, I want to talk about our upcoming action figure line, Legends of the Hidden Force. On the left, you can see our 3D printed sculpt of Shinobi, our protagonist, and on the right, you can see a vintage 80s action figure samurai. Just like the figure on the right, our action figure has movement at the shoulders, up and down, side to side, and the bicep swivel. It moves at the waist because of the O-ring, and at the hips, and it has knee movement as well. We do have two pieces of updated articulation, which we'll talk about when we deconstruct the figures in just a moment. Now, these two figures, even though they're made decades apart, are absolutely 100% compatible, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. So I've taken the back screws out so we can deconstruct these figures a little easier, and we're going to move these torsos around to show how the arms, the head, and the waist all are compatible with each other. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. Just like 80s action figures, we have a T-bar, we've got screws that hold the thighs together, and we have an O-ring. And that O-ring just slides up through the waist like our action figure on the right. We're going to take his samurai torso, we're going to put it on. Notice how it fits here in the waist. We're going to throw our arms into the shoulder sockets, and they fit quite snugly there. And we're going to throw our head in as well. Now notice our head has two colors to it, and that's going to be something we're going to talk about in just a minute. All right, now we got the torso together. Notice how the arms are fitting quite nicely, and we can throw the head in there as well. All right, so here's Shinobi with a armored samurai torso, and we're going to give our gi torso over here to our 80s samurai, which I think looks phenomenal, by the way. Throw these arms in here. And then we'll throw our samurai head on there as well. So as you can see, as I'm doing this, the construction is exactly the same as our vintage figure. And as also, you can see that they are 100% compatible. That torso looking great on both our Shinobi set and our samurai on the right side. Now, one of the advantages that we have over the 80s action figures is that we have added articulation to the wrist. And I'll show you that as I'm reconstructing here. Now that's going to give us a couple of different features. The first feature, of course, is going to allow us to have different weapons and the way that they're held. Instead of having, hold a sword a certain way, we also have a bow and arrow that we're going to have for our line, as well as several types of melee weapons, chains, and things like that. So let's go ahead and put him back together, and I'll pop his hands off and show you how our weapons, which is called our Hidden Forge accessories, and they're compatible with brick building lines at 3.2 millimeter diameter. So notice the hands can swivel, but they can also come off. Here's one of our swords from our line. And if you so desire, you want a guy that has a sword for a hand, you can just pop that in there into the wrist. And there he has a sword for his hand. Okay. Another thing that we have besides our wrist articulation is our heads actually can be swappable. So not only can you use a vintage head in place of one of our heads here, but you can also use a modern head. So let me pop this off, okay? You'll hear the pop in just a second. And so as you can see the construction here, we have the normal construction of a vintage action figure head ball, like you can see on this samurai here. We also have one of a modern figure. And so we'll take this modern military soldier head, we can just pop this here onto the neck ball, turn it around, slide that into our torso, and then we have a modern head on a vintage style body. And then in order to change it, you can just pop that head back off. You hear that pop again, slide that head back on, and you have a new head for your figure. All right, so here's Shinobi in all his glory. If you like what you see, come check out our Kickstarter. And that Kickstarter is going live. It's live right now, and that is Legends of the Hidden Force 3 3/4 inch ninja action figures. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and our website is thehiddenforce.com.